Hi guys, I'm Kranti Sambhav. Welcome to Times Drive. Today we have Zac Hollis with us, who's Director, Sales, Service and Marketing, Skoda India. And Zac, we can see you're also working from home only. How is this lockdown treating you? Are you more busy right now, how is your general day like?
It's more busy than I expected it to be. To be honest, although I'm living in Europe at this period during this lockdown with my family, I'm using the opportunity to work Indian hours. So I'm getting up very early in the morning. What I would say is that, normally we wake up in the morning and then we have a couple of hours where we might go to the gym, have some breakfast, read the newspaper, etc., and then we will go to the office. But when you wake up and then 30 minutes later you're in front of the screen, it becomes a little bit difficult for the first couple of hours. But generally speaking, it's working quite well. I think everybody is making the most of the situation. I'm very impressed how the whole team is motivated, how they are leading each other, how they are like bouncing jokes and ideas off each other. We've got a number of projects running, and I would say that I'm actually really impressed by how my Indian team are really motivated themselves through what is quite a difficult period for them, and of course a difficult period for everybody in India.
And if you look at the future of style of working and functioning and production, you think that bigger chunk of that will be like this in future?
I think what we have done is we have learned from this process that it is possible to work remotely. It's possible to be connected with Skype and WhatsApp calls, etc., etc. We've learned that it's possible to do this. Do I like it? I would say probably no, I don't. I like the physical interaction in office. I like visiting dealers. I like talking to people face to face. And I like the whole office banter and having lunch with people, etc., etc. So I miss that part of it, but we have shown that we can work this way. What it is doing is it's making us communicate much more with people. We are checking on people. We are calling people all the time. We are communicating all the time. And I think part of that communication, both in personal life and in business life, I think we should try and keep going forward. That is working quite well.
And now coming to the market scenario, what's the biggest impact you think going to see as far as lockdown is concerned?
Obviously, at the moment, the business is stopped, so you cannot get much more of a bigger impact than that. It's had an enormous impact on the motor industry, and it's had enormous impact on our dealer network. I mean, we have thousands of employees across 65 dealers in India. They are all employing people, and we need to keep these people long term. So the impact has been huge, but not only on our dealer network, but we have 6,000 employees in total, in production, in logistics, in design of cars, everything we have, in finance, in admin. We have a lot of employees here, and it's hit us very hard because we have no revenue coming in at all. Nevertheless, we are committed to long term in India, so we are continuing to pay our employees the full amount. We continue to offer continuity of employment, and we're also supporting our dealers that way as well. But yes, to answer your question, it has had a huge impact on our business in India. How it will change things going forward, I think this is a very obvious point that comes out of that. I think we're going to see a slow growth coming out of the lockdown. I can't see the car market, to be honest, picking up until we get to the festive period. That's part of it. And most of that is actually affected by the economic issues that are happening with the economy. People are nervous about their jobs. Small businesses are nervous about their business, etc., etc. Yeah, that's quite clear. However, on the other side of that, what we've seen in China is people using personal transport much more. So we're seeing people moving away from buses, trains, and public transport, at least initially onto personal transport. So you will see an increased use of car usage, and I think some people might then start to look at buying a car that perhaps weren't in the market before because they were comfortable with public transport. So you will see some changes going forward in terms of demands. The other thing that we will see, I believe, is that a massive increase in hygiene. This is very, very important, not only in the car industry, but in the dealers, but also across all of industry. Customers will be very wary about going into retail establishments. They'll be very wary about going into dealerships. So we have to have the highest level of hygiene going forward. and this we will deliver for our customers, be it service or new vehicle. Also, many customers will want to have more of an online and digital experience going forward, and that could be on purchasing a car, but it could also be on servicing a car. So we will facilitate that. We already have the ability for customers to book cars online at the moment, to pay deposits online, and then we will do as much of the transaction as possible away from the dealership in a remote way, and of course with the utmost level of hygiene. That's how I believe the business will change going forward. But of course, we've got to see some end to the current lockdown. Having said all that, the livelihood of people is the most important. It's lives over livelihood, we might say. We've got to protect people's lives, and we've got to stop the spread of this virus as quickly as we can.
Mm-hmm. And if you talk about these, whatever changes we are anticipating and we are regulating as well, or predicting, what is the biggest change or challenge, or maybe biggest challenge you're looking at right now?
Probably the biggest challenge that we're looking at now, if you pick the biggest challenge of all of them, would be to make sure that our India 2.0 project is still on track. That's probably our biggest challenge. Next year, we have invested, I think in total, €1 billion, 8,000 crore into India, in developing 2 new products for the Indian market. The first being a mid-sized SUV, which we will launch in April 2021, and then an all-new sedan that will launch towards the end of next year. Our big challenge is to keep those products on track, both in terms of getting the production lines up and running and in terms of developing the tools and everything to make sure those cars are on track. That's the biggest challenge that we face at the moment, because we have to considerably grow our business with India 2.0.
And March or maybe April, Skoda was planning to launch 3 products. Are they on schedule?
So obviously they're not on schedule because we plan to launch them in April. We had a very good plan in April to launch the products one after the other in April. Obviously this is shelved. The most important thing is the safety of our teams, of our dealers, and of course of customers. So we will launch these cars as soon as the lockdown is lifted, and we will do this in a digital way. We'll do this in a very innovative way, in a digital way, because at the end of the day, even though the lockdown is lifted, we don't want to bring large groups together for press conferences and dealer events. So we'll launch it in a digital way, and we will start recording that next week. So I'm quite excited about how we will launch these cars. But of course, we need to be cognizant of actually not pulling large groups together. But we're on track to launch those cars as soon as the lockdown is lifted.
And you must be, keeping an eye on different zones we are in right now: red zone, orange zone, green zone, as far as lockdown is concerned. How is your network, strength, place, and what is? That's for generic automakers. What do you think is the path forward? Because maybe there would be some areas where showrooms, dealerships would be closed. Some areas would be open. Are you preparing for that kind of scenario as well?
Absolutely. I would say we've already got 1 or 3 dealers that are either open part-time or full-time. So, for example, there are areas like Goa, where it has very few coronavirus cases in Goa, and therefore we've opened the dealership in Goa from a service capacity point of view as virtually open completely. And what is happening is that the local authorities will let us do certain activities, such as deal with pending cars that are in the workshop when this whole lockdown happened. But now actually in Goa, we're able to take new bookings for cars from a service capacity point of view. In Kerala, we're also doing some work in Cochin and Malayalam. And then there are other parts of India in those, as you said, those green zones, we could well open next week. If they do, then we'll start servicing customers' cars. We'll start doing it slowly because we also need to maintain hygiene within the service area, also not only for our customers, but also for our employees as well. So we might well only be using alternative bays within a workshop to maintain that level of cleanliness and hygiene going forward. So the answer to your question is yes, we're working on the green zones where it's possible, where it's allowed, but we have limitations because our parts warehouses, we have 3, one in Gurgaon, one in Bangalore, and one in Pune, and those are in red zones. So we can only work with the part stock that we have at the dealership until things start to open up. So we will do the best we can for our customers within the capabilities of what we're allowed to do as well during the lockdown period.
All right, and let's talk about the product which many enthusiasts are talking about, the Karoq. Tell us more about that one. Are we going to see CBO, or what kind of version are we going to see, and what are your thoughts on that?
So the Karoq is a very important car for us as a premium 5-seater SUV that will sit just underneath the Kodiaq. The Karoq is 100% CBU, so this is bought in as an imported car under the government's 2,500 units FBU allowance. We have 1,000 cars in total. Around half of those have already arrived in India, and the majority of those have customs cleared, and some of them are actually already at Pune in our warehouse and storage area. So literally, as soon as the lockdown is lifted, we will start dispatching those cars to our dealers, and then we'll have a virtual press conference to the car. So Karoq is important to us because one thing that is important is to bring new products to the market. New products allow us something to talk about. It's something new for customers, and I'm very looking forward to bringing Karoq into the marketplace.
And if you talk about the vision, have you finalized the name Cosmic, or that was just a Twitter chatter?
This is a rumor, and the great thing is that the press don't have so much to talk about, So, and also they can't test drive any cars, so they're writing things. It's great. I have no problem with these stories going around. We haven't confirmed the name of the car yet, but of course people have already seen the trend of K and Q, so they're making assumptions about cars. So, and the more ideas people come up with, maybe I might like one of them as well. So let's see.
That's clever, but one thing I must tell you that this is the first time we are having this kind of long chat, but I feel that we have been communicating throughout. Thanks to your Twitter, chats, and we get to know what you're thinking. We get to know what the brand is thinking, and I guess how's that experience for you as a industry man?
I really like it because. I'm talking to my team all the time. I'm talking to dealers all the time, but actually it's really good to talk to customers. And what I'm trying to do is to build a customer-centric organization. And the fact that I am available to people to write to, and I will happily put my email onto it. If someone's got a query, then write to me. I will deal with it. And actually, it's actually leading from the top in terms of customer centricity, in terms of looking after customers. I'm leading from the top. I'm open to those communications, and hopefully I'm satisfying as many customers as I can together with my team. And of course, every now and again, people are writing me provocative questions like, what's the name of a car, and what's the price of a car, and things like that. And they're getting very good political answers back again, because there's only so much I can say. But yeah, I do enjoy the interaction. I post bits and pieces when I can, when I've got some interesting news. I talk about it. I post pictures of my old car. You've seen that online as well. So yeah, I quite like that interaction. It's working well for me.
So does it help? The feedback which you get for your day-to-day running, or what the public sentiment is?
For sure, absolutely. Because I am getting questions from dealers, and then I'm asking my team, is this really the case? And then I'm challenging them from that point of view. And it means the customers can tell me directly what they feel about it. And then I'm challenging the dealers, and I'm challenging my organization. So absolutely, having the ability to get feedback directly from customers is great. Of course, there are a number of enthusiasts on there, and they're always writing to me, and we're conversing and chatting, etc. So yeah, and they know who they are.
Super. And now, if coming back to the kind of products we were discussing, are you planning to come in the premium hatchback or hatchback segment?
I think I get this question a lot, and this just shows the affection that the Indian people have for cars like the Fabia. The Fabia was one of the first premium hatchbacks, small hatchbacks on the Indian market. It had a great following. It did very well. We had to stop the car. I think commercially it was a difficult one to make that car work. We will start on India 2.0 with a mid-sized SUV. Then we will launch a new sedan. And then, of course, what we've got to start with is the platform. So we have the MQB A0 India platform, which is developed locally with Indian suppliers, because the India Vision IN will be 95% local. We can then look at what style of car we put on top of it. And a hatchback is certainly one possibility.
Okay, so that's that can be one headline for us, is it?
We are. You can say that we're continuing to look at all body styles, including hatchback.
Right. So this question I wanted to understand when your time with Skoda India. At one point in time, Skoda was really popular. It was doing really well in even all the cities. What happened? What do you see? How do you see the journey of Skoda in India? How do you evaluate it at this point?
I think what you've got to do in any market, including India, is you've got to continually bring new products to the marketplace. People listen to your brand. People are interested in your brand when you're bringing fresh new products to the marketplace. And not only fresh new products, they've got to be fresh new products in big, appealing customer segments at the right prices. And to do this in India, you've got to really localize, and to localize, you've got to invest also. And we can look at where the journey has been for the brand over a number of years now. We've been in India now for almost 20 years, launching great cars like the Octavia, the Superb, the Kodiaq, and also the Rapid. But nevertheless, most of our cars are competing in niche segments in India. What we've got to do going forward is to be in mainstream segments, such as the mid-sized SUV, and bringing new and fresh cars to the marketplace. And that's what we're going to be doing going forward. And I'm confident they will appeal to customers, just like the Vision IN did at the Delhi Motor Show. And my long-term vision for India is to grow to 1 lakh. I like this whole 1 lakh thing. It's very Indian, and it has a lot of appeal, and that's my target.
Thank you so much, Zac. And I hope the kind of product lineup you have, you do well, and you don't disappoint the enthusiasts, and they're waiting for your products. Thanks a lot.
It's great to talk to you. So I just say to everybody, stay safe, observe the rules in your area, and let's all get out of this situation eventually. Thank you very much.